Welcome everyone to the video. It's Jira Bro, and today we're gonna be talking about some career-wise stuff, and that is how to become a Jira admin. Right, so today we're not gonna be talking about any technical things like how to do XYZ in Jira. This is for all of those who want to start their career as Jira administrators. Now, the first and foremost, before we jump into the technical aspects of this job, I just want to say the first thing is gonna be the soft skills. Now, the soft skills, the very first thing is the communication. Now, you can be the greatest admin in the world, having all of the certifications, being the best community leader out there with 50,000 points, with more over than 1,000 answers, going to every single Atlassian community event. But if you don't know how to communicate properly with your team and how to actually solve problems with them, how to, make their Jira instance like a shining diamond that no one is going to touch, you need to communicate effectively. What do I mean by this? By this, I mean that when there is something that is missing, you need to ask questions. So you're there to actually solve a business problem, a business need that your colleagues are actually having within your organization. So if you don't know to communicate, if you're just in there on your keyboard doing basically nothing, I know, yes, you can do the communication on Slack as well, and that's it. But if you actually don't talk to someone, like doesn't have to be face to face, it can be on the Zoom call, on the meeting, whatever. And if you don't know how to actually guide people, how to give the best practices, how to give your opinions, how to alert on some things that might be a problem later, and basically to learn the basics like professionalism. That is, of course, the third thing, but this is also under the communication as well. So if you don't communicate with your team effectively, if you're just there silent doing nothing, well, first of all, you're gonna get fired because you haven't done anything, right? Your value is 0. Right? So that's the number one thing. Second thing is leadership. Now, what do I mean by this when I say leadership? That means that when you're there, you're an expert when it comes to the Atlassian products like Jira, like Jira Service Management, like Confluence. I'm gonna stick to those three. Yes, some companies may use Jira Work Management, Jira Align, Jira Product Discovery, Jira Work Management, all of those products. Let's forget about them for a sec. Let's put them in a file, right? Let's put them in a file just for now. But what else do I mean by leadership? Like doing what's right, and doing what's right and not what is easy. Being brave and bold. Now, when there's some bad news, learn to say no when it comes to some of the requests that are not being realistical. I don't mean like saying no, like can we please do XYZ and stuff like that. I was thinking about integrating with all of those things, and you know that is not technically feasible, you cannot go straight to them and say, hey, it's a no. You're not Simon Cowell, by the way. So don't think you can go around and say no because your boss is gonna say, get the hell out. You don't want that. Alright. But that ability for other people to come to you when they have a problem. Now, if you have others in your team that are admins as well, don't always take the credit. Embrace their work. Embrace them. Be humble. That's what I wanted to say. Professionalism. This is also an important thing. You need to learn to be professional. Keep your egos out of the box. So if you let your ego to take over, you're not gonna do anything. You're only gonna make, if I say in quote, enemies, and you're going to start to hate your job, and eventually you'll quit. You don't want that. You want to be professional with everyone. So that is how it works. You need to learn to be professional at what you do. Time management. Right, let's say you get, for example, 10 requests. I'm not saying like getting 10 requests by a minute on different things because I don't really know that is going to happen. Realistically, if something big goes off and people are affected, I don't know, they have lost their permissions and stuff like that. Yes. By what I mean, the time management is that priority thing. So you need to sort your priorities. You need to check on them and say, this is the priority right now. This is not the priority right now. So if someone is saying, I need an access to this, but you have this priority where like 50 users are affected, and someone else is saying, well, I need the access to this project and stuff like that. You just toss it away and take care and tackle the hard things first. The highest priority things, that is the thing that you need to tackle on the first. Alright. Enough with that chit chat, if I can say like that. Main skills. Number 1, Jira. So, in order to become a Jira admin, you need to know Jira, every bit of it. And of course, there are always going to be things that you're going to learn. There are always going to be some new things around there that you're constantly going to learn, like developers. Like, if there is a new version of a framework, a new version of a programming language, or a new version of, I don't know, C#, a new version of, let's say, React. So you need to know what is going on in there. That is the continuous learning. So first of all, you need to know about the Jira, and where do you start? One of my colleagues used to say, find foundations first. So you can know all of the other things perfectly fine. You can be the master of it. Level 100. All of achievements unlocked. You're the god. You're the godlike. No one can actually touch you. If you don't know the fundamentals, trust me, everything, all of those accomplishments are only going to crumble. And that's it. Right, so Jira, you start from the basics first. How to create a project. What is the difference between the team managed and the company managed projects? What are the pros? What are the cons? What is a project key? What are the shared settings from the another project? What else you have? So when you create a project, you have what is in the project settings, what you have in the project settings, and when you open a project, what do you have in there? So in the project settings, what is in details, what is in summary, what is in the issue types, what is in the issue layouts, what is in the screens, what is in the automation. This is everything in a project. Okay, so this is all about the projects. What types of projects there are: software development, business development, project management type of project, service management type of projects. What templates do they use? Kanban, Scrum. So those are the part of the Agile. We will talk about that as well. So number 1, projects. Number 2, boards. What do I mean by this? All of the configuration of the boards. What is this? Board admins, shared filters. You have swim lanes, you have card colors, you have quick filters, you have the general settings, the whole general settings as well. You have the board columns, adjusting your board columns with and mapping the statuses according to the workflow that you have in your project. That is another thing. So whole board configuration. So you need to know about the boards. All right. What filters do boards use? So boards are visual representation of each of a filter. What permissions do those filters have? With whom are those filters being shared? What kind of permissions are there? Is that a private filter? Is that a filter that whole organization can see? Is that a filter that can only a project, people in project can see? What kind of filter is that? All right, moving on. Filters. All right, so you have quick filters. You also have the ability to create the filters. Of course, if they're your favorite ones, if you like them that much, and if you say I just make this kick-ass badass filter that I can use, and it's gonna be the best one. I'm going to be the mastermind. I'm going to break the matrix with this filter. Yeah, sure. Go on. Go ahead. Filters. Workflows. What is in a workflow? First of all, status categories. There are always gonna be 3 status categories. So it's going to be a to-do, in progress, and done status category. Transitions. So you got transitions. Then you got properties. You have triggers. You have validators. You have conditions. You have post functions. All of these bits and pieces are within one workflow. First of all, start with creating some simple workflows. Then move on with creating more and more complex workflows. You don't know what complex workflows to create? Use ChatGPT, use Bard, and say, hey, look, brainstorm me a complex workflow for Jira that is going to use all those things. They're going to use triggers. There is going to use that is going to use the properties, that is going to use the post functions, that is going to use the triggers, the validators, all those things. And when you go with that, it's okay. I didn't say you're gonna master it. I ain't gonna say that, and then I didn't gonna say you're gonna do it like in the first way, like this, and you're gonna feel superior. You're gonna feel like, hell yeah, I've done this. I'm on the top of the world. I climbed the Mount Everest one more time, and I put my flag on there, it's Jira flag, and say, you know what? I just mastered the workflows. Right. Next thing, issue types. How to create the issue types. How to create the issue type schemes, connecting them together. Then issue type screen schemes. How to work with them. How to associate those schemes with a project, and so on. Permissions. Unless you want everyone on the internet to actually see what the hell are you doing in your Jira, you want to keep it private, right? So it really depends on you. Either you're gonna use the default permissions where it says like any logged in user can actually do this, except administering the projects, because if any logged in user can administer the projects, shut down Jira right now. Hit the kill switch and just turn it off. Go to a different product or use a whiteboard, something like that. But then again, think about the permissions. Read about them. Google it. Jira Permissions. Alright? Read the whole article, and I'm talking about the official Atlassian documentation. Read everything about the permissions. What kind of permissions? You have the permissions within a project. You have the global permissions. Especially look out what you're doing with global permissions. My personal advice, don't ever touch it unless you want to cause like $1 million damage and basically ruin the company. If you like to live dangerously, yeah, go ahead, you can do it. But like, seriously now, like permissions, create an issue, edit an issue, manage sprints, create comments, delete comments. So all of these things. Learn about the roles, connecting the roles with the permissions, connecting the group with permissions. Individual users, I never seen in my life having a project where individual users are actually having a permission being used. You know how much time that would take to set on for the project? Imagine if you have 100 users on that project. Like, seriously, are you really gonna do that? No. Let's go for more notifications. Really depends if you wanna bore the hell out your users with the notifications, like what is going on and stuff like that. The notifications that are important are those in your personal settings. When it says like send me an email notification when I'm watching the issue, when I'm being mentioned, when something else happens, I believe you know what I'm talking about. Don't leave it like that. Leave it like that. Don't do any. Don't turn off. Don't uncheck any of the boxes. Just leave it like it is. All right. Next thing, automation. For automation, first learn the basics of it. Like, learn what are the triggers, what are the conditions, what are the actions, and then you can move on doing the branches, doing more advanced stuff like smart values, things like that. Another thing that I would recommend in here, there's even a book that is called Automate Your Everyday Jira Tasks. Yeah, it's called like that. And I will leave the link in the description to that book. It's a really great book. I bought it myself. I'm still reading it. And it's a pretty badass book. You should really get it. No, I'm not being affiliated by anyone. I'm just telling you what are the best options here. Alright, cool. When you become the automation master, alright, when you become supreme, of course you need to learn about the user management. That even comes before the automation and all of these stuff. So you need to learn about this, how to invite your users, how to actually give them product access, what kind of product roles they do have. So we have product roles and project roles. There is a big difference in here. You have product admins, you have a user, and in a project role you have an admin, but that admin is an administrator of a project, not the administrator of the product, and that is one big difference. But then again, user management. And what do I mean by this? Also, not keeping your instance to have 100 and plus inactive users in there, sitting there in a dust, basically being worth of nothing. Instead, you should deactivate them. You should deactivate them. That is one of the practices that you should, use. Even on your daily work. If you saw someone that wasn't in Jira for a year or more, I don't know, in 6 months, deactivate them. They don't need a product. In the first place, they might ask it, but then again, after some time, it's not gonna be needed. Alright,